We will just allow a moment for everyone to sit down. Welcome to Le Verdon-sur-Mer in the Médoc region. And in the Médoc, we always start things quarter of an hour late. It's a local tradition. There have been people over the years who have tried to do things on time, but it never worked out. So welcome to everybody to our magnificent Lotissia room, which has been given to us for the event by the municipality. And I'm going to hand over to Jacques Manchard, who is going to give the instructions. He will give you the instructions you need for the proceedings over the 2 days to celebrate the bicentennial of the Fresnel lens at Cordouan. Hello. So, some information first to help you make the most of the things we have prepared for these 2 days. An adventure we started in 2022, and today is the closing seminar of the events we have organized. So, first of all, thanks to the Mayor and to the Municipal Authority of Le Verdon-sur-Mer for hosting us here. The International IALA, which helped us in the preparation of these 2 days. Also, the Secretariat of State for the Sea, which found the funding for this event to promote the world of lighthouses and maritime navigation systems. Also the association Phares de France Lighthouses of France, which has provided the support for organizing these activities. And a big thank you to the Association of Lighthouses of Le Verdon and all the people from Phares de France who helped us a lot. For the safety announcements, there is one emergency exit only. Henri is next to it. I hope we won't need to use it, but you do have one emergency exit anyway. Then for the organization of the day's proceedings, lunch is scheduled as a buffet lunch at the Cordouan room. As you go out on the left into the street, you follow along the street, turn left in the second street, and it's at the end of the street, a modern building with wooden cladding. There will also be a coffee break, and thank you to the people who helped us to organize that. For those people who do not have a badge, at lunchtime, please contact the people in the foyer of the building to get your badge, and the same applies for the lunch tickets. For the visit to Cordouan, you should have a ticket. Where we have some difficulties with the safety standards on the boats. We have to stick within the maximum limit of 45 people. That's the visit on Monday afternoon. But there is still space on Wednesday's visit, so if there are people who could perhaps do the visit on Wednesday, that would be much appreciated. Also, that visit will be a bit longer. Another point, there is no Wi-Fi. If you need Wi-Fi, you will need to use your telephones or to link your computer to your telephones. And you also have simultaneous translation. We have 2 interpreters who are here with us who will be translating the presentations and the discussions. As in each session we have a number of presentations and then a question and answer session at the end. Please feel free to ask questions. We have microphones that we can hand around. So on the headsets, channel 1 is French, channel 2 is English. And when you leave the room, each time you leave the room, please leave your headset on your chair. And we also need to check that they are all charged. Please make sure when you leave this evening, do not take your headset with them because they need to be charged overnight. I hope I haven't forgotten anything there. And also for the coffee break and for lunch, please leave the headsets here in the room on your chair. Well, that's it. So now I'll hand back over to Jean-Marie Calbet, who is going to perhaps present the first session of the day. Thank you for that applause for Jacques. I understand it's him you're applauding, not me. And so the first speaker for this opening session is the mayor of Verdon-sur-Mer, who is hosting us here in his premises. So over to you, Mr. Jacques Bidalin, mayor of Le Verdon. Hello and welcome. Just a short presentation to say how pleased we are to host you here in our small village for the celebration of the installation of the first Fresnel lens on the 23rd of July, if I remember correctly. It's Mr. Kelby and his team who have organized and this event, made sure it is of good quality despite the poor weather conditions. You have a very busy schedule, obviously, with the highlight being the discovery of the Cordouan Lighthouse, which is in Le Verdon. This seminar should have enabled our friends who have come from far away to discover our local area, but there are 52 weekends in the year, and this is the worst weather we have had at a weekend since the beginning of this year. If I understood correctly, in addition to the different presentations and discussions, your president has also scheduled some moments of relaxation, and I would like to wish you all, obviously, a very pleasant stay in Le Verdon. A big thank you to Jean-Marie and to his team for all the effort they have made in organizing the event. I wish you all a very enriching seminar. Work hard, and I'm sure we'll see you a little bit later today. Thank you and enjoy your work. And now I'm going to call upon the Director of the General Directorate for Maritime Affairs. I always get the title wrong, but DGAMPA. He is going to give a presentation. And it was this department of the ministry which is behind this event. Hello, everybody. So it's a great pleasure to be back here in this magnificent town of Le Verdon, and I would like to thank the mayor and to say the weather is not that bad. We have been lucky enough, we were lucky enough to get out to the lighthouse. You will have the same opportunity this afternoon. So thank you to all of you for being here. Thank you especially to our friends who could come from far away, from the IALA, which is being transformed into an intergovernmental organization, a very important subject for France, which has the headquarters of the organization. Thank you to the members of Phares de France we have been working with, and to all the teams of the General Directorate of Maritime Affairs who have helped to organize the event and to also work on promoting our maritime heritage our lighthouses and our different navigation aid systems. And I would like to also thank the local teams here in the Verdon, and Solange Majourou, who I think is hiding somewhere, who played a key role in organizing this event, and who has always worked and has done for many years to defend the Cordouan Lighthouse. And I've been lucky enough to work with her on this subject for several years now. France has chosen to create a ministry for the sea, dedicated to the sea in all its dimensions: maritime transport, safety, fishing, aquaculture, the protection of the oceans, our coastlines, all different activities, such as offshore wind farms also, and with a big focus on science and knowledge of the oceans and technologies. So it's an integrated government department which addresses all the aspects of maritime policy, and which we, in the General Directorate for Maritime Affairs, Fisheries and Aquaculture, are in charge of the maritime policy on behalf of the Minister. The state, therefore, is very present in maritime affairs in France, and also in questions of navigation aid and working with all the different teams in the field. This event today marks the 200th anniversary of this magnificent technological revolution designed by Fresnel, the lens which was installed in Cordouan in 1823, and it also reminds us of our role through our lighthouses and different aid systems and its importance. I also think we should stress, and that's why we are here, the technological dimension, the fact that this was a technological breakthrough, thanks to Augustin Fresnel, who died young. As you know, he wasn't from the southwest of France, unfortunately. He was born in Normandy, but he works on all the aspects of our profession, our multifaceted profession and its technologies, and he was the inventor of the wave theory and of this lens which we are celebrating. And you will see a number of posters and information panels on the subject and on the scientific value of his work. He was a graduate of the Polytechnique School, an engineer, and this dual training gave him a strong focus on technology, but he was also a genius who decided to do things differently to improve our physical navigation aid systems, and to build also an administration and a system of governance, working as Secretary of the Commission of Lighthouses, which led him to work on these subjects, which were then taken over by his brother. So a strong focus on technology, a technological breakthrough, but also with a strong administrative role, and also in organizing this activity in our country for the men and women who work in these issues of safety and security at sea. This mission is one that is useful and necessary, and I would like to emphasize this. I'm sure you're all aware of this, but when you speak to the general public, and I think the Association of French Lighthouses often do this, when you speak to our fellow citizens in France and elsewhere, explaining to them that we still need lighthouses today, we still need navigation aid systems, it's not easy to convince them. People wonder, is this still useful? Do we still need it with all the modern technologies that we have? And the answer for us is, all of us, is yes, of course, it is essential for our mariners, for the safety of our crews on vessels. Modern technologies are not enough to guarantee the safety along our coastlines. We are very sensitive to this. We have had a number of major maritime disasters with severe pollution, which have time and time again reminded us of the importance of our coastlines and of having these systems that help mariners to navigate no matter what technical issues there might be. So this is something that Augustin Fresnel also understood and did much to contribute to this key mission, which is still an essential part of the work of our government department. I would also like to focus on the question of heritage. With Solange and with Jean-Philippe here locally, we have prepared an application to be listed on UNESCO World Heritage. So here we are in a place of maritime heritage that we must maintain and pass on to future generations. And the Cordouan Lighthouse, which some of you will be discovering this afternoon, is not just a place of work and of technology. It is also a heritage site, a cultural heritage site, and a key asset of our local territory. And we also work on this with all the local stakeholders, with the we work with all the local stakeholders, the different local authorities, and this also enabled us to get that UNESCO World Heritage listing. If we hadn't had that mobilization of all the different stakeholders, if it had just been organized by us at the ministry without the local people in the field, I think we would not have got that UNESCO listing. But I'm glad that we have that whole ecosystem, which is very effective here in the area and which you will be able to see this afternoon. So all these different dimensions make up the character of this place. And I would also like to laud not only the work done by the local teams, but also to say just how much we need you and your expertise and your experience all over the planet to help us to move forward, to help us to continue adapting constantly in our technologies, and also to promote our work and our heritage among our fellow citizens. That mission is also very important, and through the Phares de France Association and through all the different local organizations, we very much need that effort, and we're counting on you, in addition to the rich discussions you'll be having over these 2 days, to talk about this role and to promote it with others. So I will stop there. Jean-Philippe, you hadn't been planning to speak now. You'll be speaking later at the Lighthouse. So I will hand over to Henri Masson, who will be speaking more about the heritage aspect, who is specialized in that dimension, in this lighthouse as a cultural heritage asset. And we try to coordinate our work and the different stakeholders to make sure that this is all done as effectively as possible. Thank you very much to all of you. I wish you an excellent day, a very enjoyable visit to Cordouan, and a most enjoyable seminar.
Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, members of the IALA, dear speakers, dear colleagues from DG AMPA, from DIRM, the Directorate General, dear colleagues from the Ministry of Culture, Directorate General for Heritage and Architecture, dear members of the Phares de France Association, dear friends. I would really like to thank the IALA authorities for inviting me to say a few words today in this symbolic place where we are gathered today, and I'm very pleased and honored to be able to speak after the Director General and to contribute to the opening of these 2 days. And I'm sure that we are going to have quality in terms of our exchanges and discussions. And I'd really like to congratulate the members of the IALA for choosing this site here at Pointe de Grave to bring us together here in the shadow of the legendary Cordouan Lighthouse. As you know, and was reminded by the director earlier, the Cordouan Lighthouse was classified as a historic document in 1862, and it's listed on that list alongside Notre-Dame de Paris, Strasbourg, or for our favorite Secretary of State for the Sea, the Basilica of Saint-Sauveur in Dinan. It was listed in 1862, and then there was a very big gap. There was no protection for approximately 150 years. So with the ministerial authorities tasked with the sea, we had to work very hard, not only on paper, but at the interministerial level to recognize the exceptional quality of the heritage represented by lighthouses. With Jacques Manchard, who was the deus ex machina behind today's festivities, I'd like to recall our first meeting in Ouessant. It was at the Créache Lighthouse in 2005. There was the Regional Commission for Heritage and Sites in the presence, or under the leadership, in fact, of Bernadette Malgorn, who was the regional prefect at the time. And the result of that was the listing of Pamar, Saint-Mathieu, Ouessant, and Île-Vierge, all of those lighthouses. So we've come a long way since then. A great deal of work has been done with the decentralized services of the heritage sites. And remember that we also had support from François Gauvain and François Massé de l'Épinay for the General Inspectorate for Historical Monuments, and also Vincent Guiguenot, who contributed. And Damien Cazet, who at the time was Director of Maritime Affairs. This joint work resulted in several publications, including Monument Historique des Côtes de France, which was, and then a very modest but educational work, such as Les Phares Patrimoine des Côtes de France, which was lighthouses heritage of French coasts. We counted as well on the support of many different allies, the Iroise Marine Park. We were able to visit all the lighthouses, and we observed that contrary to the rumors spread by a number of activists, all of these lighthouses were carefully and painstakingly maintained. This was followed by several registration campaigns. It was the turn of Phares en Mer, so sea lighthouses, and it's easy to see how much mutual trust there must have been between the departments to achieve this result. In the end, around 100 lighthouses were listed, and the most remarkable were ranked, and in 2011 we had the Stief Lighthouse included. Historic building listing is recognition by the state of the quality of buildings, but also a commitment on the part of the state, as Eric told us earlier, to ensure their restoration, their conservation, and the transmission to future generations. In practice, it is an asset and support for restoration, and this makes perfect sense at a time when there's been profound upheaval in the lighthouse service, with the gradual automation, of course, of lighthouses and the inevitable disappearance of lighthouse keepers. Interministerial work was done to prepare the project, each with their own skills, different corporate cultures, with a view to both fulfilling the missions of the service by maintaining the network to ensure coastal lighting and protecting the rich heritage represented by lighthouses, which are two state responsibilities that we must strive to make compatible. This took on various forms, and we had some very successful experiments. The creation of Lighthouse Day. I think I have a photograph of that. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Jean-Marie. So the creation of Lighthouse Day each year brings together government departments, and particularly the Secretary of State for the Sea, the Ministry of Culture, and the local authorities concerned and interested. This was held this year at Grosduroy in Languedoc, and it focused on the Espiguet Lighthouse, which is a project supported by the Coastal Protection Services. and the municipality, which was extremely committed and had already restored another lighthouse at the port. The 2023 edition of Lighthouse Day was a great success. The presentation of the different teams' projects was particularly rewarding, and it was always in an extremely convivial atmosphere. All these players are now grouped together in the Phares de France Association, which is very wisely supported by the Secretary of State for the Sea. It's dynamic, and it has become a very important player for the administration. We have an illustration of this today. The Secretary of State for the Sea decided the year that 2023 would be dedicated to Augustin Fresnel, the great scientist who, following his remarkable discoveries, invented and experimented with echelon lenses here in Cordouan in July 1823. So that was 2 centuries ago. These lenses contributed to the great coastal lighting program, which was very poetically described by Michelet, and they were later used all over the world to extend the range of lighthouses and improve safety for ships. It's thanks to the Phares de France Association and to its central and decentralized departments that we've been able to organize the Year of Fresnel to commemorate the work of this great scientist, and the director said a word about that earlier. The symposium we are attending today is the culmination of that year, with conferences in Paris and the French regions, webinars with great scholars, whether French or international, on the history of lighthouses, traveling exhibitions, concerts, and other festive and artistic events. In the rich program of these 2 days, we will have the opportunity to admire the recent restoration of the Verdon Lighthouse and its museum facilities. So it brings to life not only the building, but also the objects. So well done to Jean-Marie Calpé, who was the caretaker and master of this fine achievement. I would like to point out that Jean-Marie, after being the treasurer, is now also the president of the Phares de France Association. In that respect, I'd like to congratulate him on his commitment, particularly in running such a dynamic organization. We were all able to appreciate this at our meeting 10 days ago in the Languedoc region, and I'd also like to thank Jean-Marie Chauvet, who was the previous president and who significantly contributed. These meetings organized by Phares de France are regular, and it gives us the opportunity to work together on a fascinating topic, which is a source of mutual acculturation, which allows us to discover all the trades and customs that form a sort of intangible heritage. I believe that we all share the desire and the conviction that it's up to us to bring this heritage to life, conserve it, pass it on, and share it with the public. As Eric said, the local authorities are sensitive to this exemplary approach, which was adopted by government departments, and it's the case in Cordouan, for example, where the SMIDEST was built, bringing together regional authorities, departmental councils, and municipalities on both sides of the river. Given the importance of the monument's image, its role as a tourist destination, the mixed union is in charge of organizing events, tours, and taking care of the monument. This is a tailor-made and remarkable governance, and I agree with the Director General when he says that this is certainly one of the main reasons why the King of Lighthouses has been listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The Stief Lighthouse, which was next on the list, built in 1699, is an example of restoration carried out by State Services, Ministry of Sea, Culture, and Conservatory. Other projects have been completed or are now underway: Cap Ferret, Île Vierge, Cap Béar, Gros du Roi, Palmar, Dunkirk, Port-Vendre, Calais, and Phares des Baleines. So we're aware of the challenges that these issues pose, and Mrs. Girardin, Minister for the Sea, and Ms. Bachelot, Minister for Culture, decided to launch a mission in 2021 to understand and promote maritime heritage. This mission conveniently survived the change of government in the summer of 2022. It was presented and approved by Rima Abdoumalak, who's the Minister of Culture, and Mr. Berdi on 12th of April. The ministers signed an agreement pledging to pursue and develop interministerial cooperation between culture and the sea, which will result in the wish of the 2 ministers for the theme of next year's European Heritage Days, 24 or in 2025, should be devoted to maritime, river and lake heritage. The organization of interdepartmental meetings, that is a photograph that we see at Le Gros du Roi. So I was saying organization of interdepartmental meetings in maritime regions. The first 2 were held between Pays de la Loire regional cultural authorities and the Occitania authorities. This will be followed by a meeting between the Directorate General of Maritime Affairs and the cultural and heritage activities. And it's an opportunity for these departments to get to know each other and discover their respective missions with a view to building a common culture. There's also the launch of the National Institute for Heritage, theme of maritime heritage, and it will be extended, and it will be created at Créache for Ouessant, which is a listed heritage site, and there will be a co-funding with the Ministry of Culture. We also plan to organize an international symposium on the theme of maritime heritage in conjunction with UNESCO. And I should also remind you that financing by the Maritime Intervention Fund, which are called FIM, of numerous maritime heritage restoration projects, more than 20 operations in 2023, a total of more than 16 million euros. And this was co-financed with the French Ministry of Culture. All of these projects are in line with the French President's desire to declare 2025 the year of the sea. And he said, we are the second largest maritime power in the world. Above all, he said this at Mont-Saint-Michel on the 5th of June 2023. He said, in 2025 we will be hosting the United Nations Conference on the Oceans in Nice, but we must make 2025 the year of the oceans. We will have to launch a whole series of work to prepare, mobilize, raise awareness in schools, colleges, and in the professional world to make France a great ocean nation. This is what heritage can lead us to do. This list might be a little long, but it shows the great progress that we have made. And it shows that work, commitment, and interest of all our services have made possible these developments over time. Dear Jacques Monchard, you know, when we met in Ouessant in 2005, if someone had told us all of that, neither you nor me would have believed it. Thank you very much. Thank you, Henri. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Henri. I'm just going to take this opportunity in this connection between culture and technical expertise. You may have noticed that we have an artist from Verdon. He's called Alain Péclard. He's in the room. And he creates works which call to mind the technical developments, and you have three that are on exhibition here in the room. One is Fresnel. I can't remember what there's one on Fresnel. I can't remember what the others are. Perhaps you can tell me. Jung. So there are three different works that you can come and look at during the break. I don't know what the time is. We should be having a break quite soon. Are we on time? Yes, so it's time for the break. We can bring out the coffee machine, the cups, because I put the cups away because the coffee wasn't filtered yet, it wasn't ready, but now it is. So a quick 15-minute break, during which please just leave your headsets on your seats. Please don't go outside with them. And for those who'd like to, you have some coffee which will be served at the machine. We're going to bring you some cups for the coffee, and we'll start again in 15 minutes' time. Thank you.